Hey, what's up, my beautiful people? It's your boy Devo, so motivational, back with another Monday's day trading watch list. Real quick, I want to say thank you all for all the likes, the comments, the subscribes. Thank you guys for everybody who's sticking with me through the journey. We had two banger trades to finish that week last week, and I hope you guys enjoyed those live trades because I know I did. All right, and so I just want to say again, thank you all for everybody who's sticking with me through the journey. Okay, and so today won't be too long. I'm gonna go over the news that we have, the data that we have coming out tomorrow, as well as the news that we've had coming out from Friday, pretty much until today, and then what we can see going into the new week. Okay, and then excuse me, my good people, and what we can see going into the new week, and that'd be pretty much it. Okay, so let's get straight into it. Okay, so on Friday, what did we see? So Friday we seen a little bit of a dip in the market. um, Not too sure why we had that little dip in the market. Actually, Trump was talking on Friday. He had like a little like meeting, a speech. What is it? I can't really think of what it's called when he sits down in front of like the press and talks about things. I can't think about what that is called for some reason. But so he sat down and he was talking, and as he was talking, actually, we seen the market dip, take out these lows, and then actually take out these lows down here, and we called our profits way too early, which we've seen, and we are learning to let our winners run and cut our losses quicker. That's what I need to get better at because these last 2 days where I had big wins, they could have been even bigger, pushing my P&L even way, like probably about $200-300 up more, but I cut them a little too quick. Okay, so I'm gonna get better on that. I know I need to work on that. Okay, and then so we had a little bit of dip on Friday. Why did we have that? Well, Trump was speaking, and then what else came out on Friday? So on Friday, Donald Trump actually said, I Donald Trump actually said on Friday that he will no longer be Mr. Nice Guy with China on trade, accusing the country of breaking its agreement with the United States in a social media post. Later, speaking from the Oval Office, Trump said he plans to talk with. Let me delete that. He plans to talk. Jesus Christ, where am I? Said he plans to talk with Chinese President Xi Jinping, President Xi, and said hopefully we'll work that out while maintaining that China had violated the agreement. They don't know the exact agreement that they broke, but that is what Trump's saying. Remember, I went over that, I believe, in Thursday's video where I told you Trump said that they had violated their agreement and the terms on the trade. And then this is what he said on Friday about it. The bad news is that China, perhaps not surprisingly to some, has totally violated its agreement with the U.S. Trump posted on social media. So much for being Mr. Nice Guy. So that is not good, okay? Trump said that tariff reduction quickly stabilized the Chinese economy, which also eased pressure on U.S. companies that claimed the previous high rates blocked imports of Chinese goods and threatened their business. So that is not good. Why is that not good? So Trump said that China violated their agreement. As we know, we're currently on a pause of the 145% tariffs. We're currently on pause. It's not permanent. So we have a pause on tariffs, which lowered the tariffs to, I believe, about 30%, right? And so if he said they violated the agreement and he's coming out publicly saying so much for being Mr. Nice Guy, meaning he's pretty much getting fed up with it, that means the tariffs can start to pick back up, okay? And we'll go over. We already had tariffs pick back up, which Trump just announced on Friday. Market closed. When market closed around Friday, later on in the Friday day, he announced more tariffs. So he's coming out saying no more Mr. Nice Guy. So he's pretty much getting fed up with it. So that's not really good for the markets, but that is pretty good for us. Why? Because that means more buying opportunities for us. Because as we know, the bull market is going to happen. When all this nonsense gets worked out, the market will go up. We got to find the opportunities in these times like this so we can profit during the bull markets, okay? Excuse me, my good people. I just ate. Okay? And so that is what Trump said about China. And then what else happened? So Trump announced Friday he was doubling tariffs on steel imports from to 50% from 25%. So Trump doubled the U.S. steel tariffs, the steel tariff imports from 25% to 50% on Friday, and then the European Union. Remember, we were going back and forth with European Union, and we set tariffs delayed to July 9th talks, But now Trump put 50% tariffs, doubling the 25% from steel imports. And so now the EU has came out and saying they said that the tariffs add further uncertainty to the global economy, and an EU spokesperson said it is prepared to impose countermeasures, including response to the latest U.S. tariff increase. If no mutually acceptable solution is reached, both existing and additional EU measures will automatically take effect on July 14th or earlier if circumstances require, the spokesperson said. So basically, they're saying this could get bad. They're warning us that, hey, we're going to backfire on Trump's tariffs. And they're saying, well, that later date that they pushed the tariffs to, they're not even really worried about it no more. They're saying Trump is upping the tariffs, and that if needs to be, right here it says, if no mutually acceptable solution is reached, both existing and additional EU measures will automatically take effect on July 14th or earlier. I actually thought it was July 9th they pushed it back to, but I guess it's July 14th. And so they're ready to backfire. So that is good for us. I'm not mad at this at all, because that means I can buy more at a better price, because I want to see the market dip. I want to see the market come back. Yes, there will be some short-term pain, right? But if the market can dip and give us these lows again, potentially making a lower low, or even get like to the low of 507, imagine those buying opportunities we could get. Because remember, if you miss this whole run up, remember, say if we get it from the 508, if you miss this 17% gain, and keep in mind this is just in the ETF, in other stocks like Tesla, let's just go to Tesla real quick. If you miss the bottom for Tesla, keep in mind, if you missed the bottom from Tesla when they were at the 224s, they're up, oh my god, they're up 60%. You're up 60% on your money. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's just, the ETFs are up 17% from their lows. But if the ETFs are down 17%, that means the stocks have fallen 40, 50, 60%. If we go to Meta, and keep in mind, these are very good companies. If you miss this bottom, say we get it from around here, if you miss this bottom, and it's pumped all the way up 35% of your money. So that's why we want to get them back down near these lows, so we can capitalize on that. And as we know, the bull market is eventually going to come. So imagine if we got it from them lows, and we can get it whenever is the bull market start to come, 60% of our money, 70% of our money. You see what I'm saying? So imagine if we got it near these lows, Meta. If it comes back down, say if Meta comes back down towards these lows, and then we ride it all the way up from the bull market, and then we get potentially more gains, 66% of our money. You see what I'm saying? If we go to Palantir, because keep in mind, whenever the ETFs dropped, because the ETFs are just the combined companies, the QQQ is just all the technology companies combined. The S&P 500, the SPY is just 500 of the biggest companies combined. When those are dropping, the regular companies are getting hammered. You see what I'm saying? Because as you see, the ETF was down 17%, right? But as we've seen, Tesla was down 50%. Meta was down 30, 40%. Excuse me, it could be Palantir. I'm trying to find it. Palantir was down. Yeah, Palantir's at highs again. Palantir's going crazy. Look, Palantir's up 100%, 95%. So imagine when the bull market really starts. So we can get this near low, somewhere near these lows. Say if it doesn't even come all the way back down to the exact low. Say if it gets come around like right here on this 80, we can get that at. And when the bull market starts 160, 170, that is 100% of our money in Palantir. Let's go to NVIDIA. So keep in mind, these are all really good companies I have money in, and companies that have got me gains from during that drop, because I've invested. I've dollar cost average. I didn't buy as much as I wish I did, but remember I told you guys I took profits on Tesla and Meta, and I've been dollar cost averaging in some, but I want to get it back at these good prices. So whenever Nvidia dropped all the way down to these 86, now it's up 65% of our money. And imagine if it comes back down towards these lows, somewhere near these lows, maybe if it doesn't go just as low, but if it comes near these lows, and then when the bull market starts, 160, 170, 180, 70% of our money. You see what I'm saying? So that is why we want to get these companies back at these lows, okay? And so no more nice guy on the China, Trump is saying. So basically, we're ramping back up these tariffs. He ramped up the 25% to 50% on steel tariffs, right? And EU saying they're ready to retaliate on that. And so that is good. Good for us. That's buying opportunity. You know, we gotta be thankful for those buying opportunities. As we know, the market is going to run up. So we gotta be thankful for these opportunities. What else happened? So President Trump's top economic advisors stressed on Sunday that they would not be deterred by a recent court decision that found many of the Trump administration tariffs to be illegal and pointed to a variety of other authorities that the White House could invoke as it looks to pressure other countries into trade negotiations. And he said, Howard Lutnick said, rest assured, tariffs are not going away. So the market is not going to like that. The market does not like uncertainty. The market does not like tariffs because, as we know, tariffs increases inflation, okay? Because if these companies have to pay more to get product into the U.S., they're not going to pay that price. They're going to pay it up front, then they're going to pass it on to the consumers, okay? So that's why inflation goes up, okay? And when inflation goes up too high, companies start laying off people because they need money to pay for things. So they start laying off people and employment goes up, and that's how we end up in recessions, okay? So recession is still on the table. Remember, I've been telling you guys, we're not completely out of the woods with tariffs, so I wouldn't be throwing everything into the market yet. I was saying we can wait for more downturn, okay? At the 200 moving day average, remember, we loaded up a little bit. But I was saying everything is not worked out, okay? So we could potentially get more lows. So that's what I was saying. Save your money because we're not completely out of the woods, okay? Please comment W's in the chat if you guys remember me saying those things, okay? And then so what else? The United States presented its first formal proposal to Iran for elements of a nuclear deal on Saturday, hours after UN inspectors reported a major surge over the past 3 months in the size of Tehran's stockpile of near-bomb upgrade uranium. And then President Trump's top economic advisor stressed on Sunday that they would not be deterred by a recent court decision that declared many of the administration tariffs to be illegal, as they pointed out, a variety of additional authorities that the White House could invoke as it looks to pressure China and others into negotiations. So they're saying they're still using these tariffs and going to pressure these countries into trade negotiations. They also signaled that Mr. Trump had no plans to extend an original 90-day pause on some of his steepest tariff rates. He had no plans on extending that 90-day pause. So he's saying when that 90-day pause is up, he has no plans on extending. But as we know, we never know because Trump says one thing and then does another sometimes, or he says one thing and then a couple days later he'll come out saying he'll back it up. So we don't completely know, okay? So that's why we're still just dollar cost averaging because we never know what's really going to happen, okay? On some of the steepest tariff rates, raising the odds that those duties, the mere announcement of which had roiled markets, could take effect as planned in July. So July, we could have them tariffs coming back. That's when we could have lows again. And what we do, we're day traders. So we trade the market on ups and downs, so we don't really care. We can make money regardless. And then for our long-term portfolios, we're dollar cost averaging in at these low prices to enjoy the bull market. We're good, okay? You see what I'm saying? So we're good. And then Friday, what was the market looking like? So Friday's pre-markets were pretty much up. Nvidia down 0.28%, but pretty much up at 138. Tesla at 355. They actually lost a little bit at 355. And then when the market opened, we did see some dip in the market. Nvidia dropped to 135, minus 3%. Palantir, Palantir is just going crazy right now. I'm not gonna lie, Palantir is not dropping at all with the market. You see what I'm saying? Plus 7%, up $9. Palantir has been going crazy. I'm waiting for Palantir to drop because I want to get Palantir at good levels, okay? Because as we know, the U.S. is using Palantir. That's why it's just pumping and pumping and pumping. There's a big demand for Palantir. Tesla down $11, down 3.3%. Apple up $1 basically, up 0.45%. But pretty much the whole market was down, and after hours, the market actually did dip some more. Apple as you see, dipped 50 cents, minus 0.3%. Alphabet, Google, minus 0.3%. Nvidia down 0.45%, so at the 134 price. And so everything is dipping, okay? So what do I see what data do we have coming in tomorrow? We have ISM data tomorrow, manufacturing employment, manufacturing PMI, 3-month bill auction, 6-month bill auction, but ISM manufacturing prices, okay? And so I'm not sure if that's too big, but it's fairly big, okay? Because ISM manufacturing prices. But Tuesday is going to be a pretty big day. We have JOLTS job openings, JOLTS job quits, factory orders, transportation. So Tuesday is going to be a pretty big day as well, okay? So Monday will be all right, but Tuesday is going to be a pretty big day with the job openings and job quits, okay? So let's go into the SPYs and see what we can see going into the week. Excuse me, my good people. So right now, we're sitting between, let me go into the 5-minute. So right now we're sitting basically between this 586 to this 590 area, and we're currently at the 588. I know it said it closed at the 589, but after hours it dropped to the 588. I just looked on my broker. We're at the 588 on the SPY, and if we want to get a downturn, we can break through the 586 and end up using this 583 as support. And that's, if we want to break that, we can go lower to the 581 support, and then so on and so on. If we want to give a little bit of pump, we can break through this 591 and get up to the 593. And as we know, that heavy support is 595. We are not going to break that 595. I can tell you that right now. With all this uncertainty right now, we are not going to break that 595. But if we want to get a little bit of pump, we will go to that 591, 593 area. But what am I favoring? I'm favoring more of a little bit of a downturn because of all these new tariffs coming out and all the new uncertainty coming out. I can see a downturn to this 586, maybe getting a little bit of a test to this 593, or maybe testing this 591, and then breaking down to the 586, 583 level, okay? So that's what I can see. I'm more of a bear coming into Monday, but remember, we trade the market. We don't just go off what we feel should happen or what we think should happen. We go off of what the market is showing us, okay? But we are favoring the bias of a bear, okay? And so that is pretty much it. Not too long today, but I just wanted to get out, show you guys the watch list, show you guys what I'm looking in the markets, show you guys my levels, show you guys the levels in the market, not just my levels. These are the levels in the market. Show you guys the news that's coming out in the market. So I don't want to take too much of your time today. Tomorrow we will be trading, of course. We're looking for a trade. We're not going to force a trade, but if we see our setup, we will be taking that trade, and hopefully it's a winner. And maybe I'll get on live with you guys. I've been the trades have been pretty long. A lot of chop and stuff whenever I've been getting in, but they've been playing out. So as I've been making the video, the trades have been going on. Okay, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. If I get a quick trade, or if it takes a little longer and I have to make a video and the trade lingers on into the video. Okay, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. We're very excited going into the Monday. We're up over $350 on last week, so that's really good. Next week, as we know, our weekly goal is $1,000 trading weekly. We haven't really been hitting that, but last week was a good step in the right direction. Up over $350, like I said. And so we're ready for the next week, okay? Remember, I love every single one of y'all with me on the journey. Remember to study so you guys aren't gambling in the market. Make sure to go over your trades so you can get better day after day and see where you messed up, see where you did good, and see where you can get better, okay? Remember to study. Remember to have your risk management. Make sure not to be gambling. Make sure to follow your strategy and just trust the process, okay? Remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint, okay? I love every single one of y'all who with me on the journey. And remember, guys, stay persistent, passionate, and make sure y'all get paid, all right? Peace.